yourself in and get ready. The leaders in NBL Supercoach are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you dominate your mates and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Mattrix and Hammer.
Hello and welcome to the Insight NBL Show. I'm the Supercoach Mattrix. I'm here with the Hammer, a fresh 10 minutes after the last game. Mate, first reactions to that last game.
Yuck. What an absolute drubbing. Melbourne United were awful. But, like the title of the show, Kareem Lopez and every other cash cow that we've talked about, fired. There's a lot of gold to take out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good week for cash cows. I know I missed on a couple. Just to preface, because it's 10 minutes after Supercoach finished for the week, we won't be able to do our standard squeeze of the week. So we're going to have to do that on our NBL show on Wednesday. But, mate, what did you end up with?
I ended up with 482. And that was
big dick
captaining
energy.
Jack White, which until about 2 hours ago, I thought I was the man. I thought this is the pod. 41 in the first. I thought this was a good matchup for him, and he just shit the bed along with everyone else from United. But look, overall, seeing some of the scores come in, I'm reasonably happy.
Yeah, I ended up with 455 in the end. Captain Parker Jackson Cartwright made some mistakes. I played my worst player of the week. I played Ty Webster instead of some blokes like Sobey and Henschel. So, look, I feel like the logic was there with starting Ty Webster. Maybe he's a little bit injured. Maybe Henschel didn't absolutely cook in that first game, then Ty might have fired. But, yeah, there's some great scores coming in. I'm seeing a lot of big scores, but I reckon if you got 430 plus, don't be disheartened. I think I won all of my leagues with 455. So being in a lot of leagues, a lot of competitive leagues, the highest score I've seen so far is 500. But hey, look, a good week. I think maybe without any breaking news, with us just finishing the games, let's just get into the weekly review. What do you think?
Straight into it.
We would be remiss to start with the first game of the round. I think while it's fresh in our heads, we should talk about Melbourne United versus the New Zealand Breakers. And the New Zealand Breakers, I know that they said it about 100 times on the ESPN broadcast, but the Breakers have put the league on notice.
Man, they're looking good. I don't think any of us would have picked this preseason. New coach, Modi Mayor left halfway through the off-season. Man, they look good Supercoach-wise, and they look good basketball-wise. I'm really high on the Breakers right now.
And Kareem Lopez, 144K. That's priced at like a 12. I think he had 51 and 47 over the week. In this one, he had 17 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, got, I think, 4 blocks and a steal. Mate, the man was on a mission.
Yeah, he's just active. He's looking to block every shot. Man, how tall is he? Because he looks tall and he looks long. Take that how you want to take it. But I think that wingspan is enormous.
He's 17, so don't take that how you want to take it. But I think he's 2 meters tall. So I think I think his hair makes him look a little bit taller than he is. But he's lengthy. He shot the ball.
Gerald off Hey Arnold.
Yeah, looks like Gerald off Hey Arnold.
I love that.
He was an absolute beast. Parker Jackson Cartwright, my captain there, got a big rest in the fourth. I mean, they were up 30. I understand it. Sam Menenga had a career high 25 points in this one, hurting owners who traded him out. He covered his break even this week, and Flynn Cameron, luckily getting a little bit of garbage time to bail some guys out.
Yeah, look, it wasn't much to write home about from the Melbourne side. I had Jack White captained. I know a few other people in the chat did as well. I don't know if it was a little bit of foul trouble or what earlier, but he just looked disinterested. He didn't look like he was even going to get near a rebound. After having 20 the other week, 16 and a half against Cairns, he managed what? 2 rebounds in this one? It was ordinary. He just didn't even look close to. You can tell from the get go with Jack White whether he's on or off.
Yeah, Sydney Kings and Melbourne United, many people touted them as the teams to beat this year. It's probably been a bit disappointing in the last couple.
Yeah, look, they're both obviously stacked, but sometimes a champion team beats a team of champions, and I really like what New Zealand's thrown up, and something to look out for. They've still got those 3 others to come back. You've got Mitch McCarron, you've got Mojave King, you've got Max Darling. Look, they're all role players to a degree, but their chemistry right now is phenomenal. I'd be very hesitant to even change anything when they do come back.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you could probably Mitch McCarron could probably step in and take those backup minutes, back off like a Bairstow or somebody like that. Wouldn't be too bad. Bairstow's been good. Disappointing for owners that played the Melbourne United roulette in the last couple of weeks when it come to the guard rotation. In this one, Chris Goulding, 21 Supercoach points. You got to scroll down to see Shea Illy. You got to scroll down to see Delhi, and you got to scroll down to see Ian Clark. Ian Clark and Delhi in single figures.
Look, you talk about this every single week, is that guard rotation and how much you dislike it at Melbourne, and this was another game of just why. You just don't know what is coming up.
Absolutely. Look, I'm going to go all the way back up to the beginning of the round and start from there. I do just think, while that was fresh in our mind, that was the best way to talk about it. And you wouldn't have been disappointed captaining Jack White in the Melbourne United versus Sydney Kings matchup.
No,
41
that was
Supercoach.
a great start to the round.
14 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, couple of steals, not only a 1 turnover, so lost there. And Cam Oliver from the 4 spot as well, after whinging and bitching about his role in the team. We did not see Lepepe. Sorry, honestly, I went blank. I got as far as his mullet, and I went blank. But we haven't seen Lepepe play all week, and Cam Oliver is the man all of a sudden again.
But this is exactly what we've talked about since the preseason with Sydney. We don't know who's going to play and who's not. Lepepe did nothing wrong. The kid has been great. He's overachieved, and to go from hero to zero overnight. Like, do you reckon there was a conversation? What would Gorge have gone and said to him? Sorry, mate. Big Cam's bitching. You're going to have to wait your time.
I mean, maybe there was a little bit of a situation like, Cam, when you get your minutes, be better, mate. And he was better.
He was.
You said in this one that we might see Cook slide across to the 5 more. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened. And we're starting to see Jalen Galloway ramp up his minutes again. Could become a cash cow later on in the year as he finds his feet, as he works his way back from injury. He was good enough to get an NBA contract. So at 140K at the moment, should definitely be on your watch list.
He could, but I'm going to be a voyeur and watch from afar. Like, I know I've said from the start, I don't want to touch Sydney, and I have been tempted and lured into it at times, but more than ever, I hate this rotation. The subs, even for Cooks, the number of guys that were blowing up throughout the round when he was getting subbed out, the weird rotations where he doesn't play alongside certain guys, that you just cannot really make sense of it. And look, Cooks is going to get his. You don't know, how consistent it's going to be or predictable it's going to be, but I just hate everything about Sydney right now.
The most captain player in the comp this week was Xavier Cooks. And we were disappointed after this one. We were disappointed after the whole week. You and I both dodged it. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, I think. I think we both put Cooks right up there as the best, if not one of the best captain options.
Yeah.
And just chickened out, faded for whatever reason. Maybe just didn't like the Sydney Kings rotation, Gorge's rotations. But hey, we were rewarded because I think the difference between a 420 and a late 500 week is really your captain this week. Early 500s. And you yourself, you got it a bit better than Xavier Cooks, but it would have been a 500 week if you'd got in and, really be in that top 1%. Like you're going to be in top 4, 5%.
Probably.
But yeah, it would have been massive props.
Yeah. Look, if I had to put the C on PJC, I reckon I probably would have been pulling around that 530 mark. But I really didn't like the matchup for PJC, and he proved us wrong. I thought this Melbourne game was going to be really tough on him. And who was their first game? It was Adelaide, wasn't it?
Yeah, Adelaide in the first one.
And I thought, look, Kendrick Davis has been much improved on the ball. I thought Montrezl Harrell, Jarrell Martin's there. There's such a big front line. I thought they're going to pose all kinds of problems because he loves the mid-range. He loves to get to the hoop. But I think what we take from this is that PJC is elite. You can captain him any day of the week. His assist numbers, what do you have in this one? 7 or 8? This game just tonight. He's up there. He's leading the league. Guys are hitting shots. Tonight, New Zealand at one point were 31 of 39 from the field. They couldn't miss. He's just conducting the orchestra out there. He's exceptional.
PJC is 2024's Bryce Cotton.
I think he's better. You think about Bryce Cotton, if he's not scoring the ball, he's giving you like a 12 or a 13 Supercoach.
Yep.
I reckon if PJC only scored 10 or 11 points, he'd still pop up with 30 or 40 Supercoach points.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to delve into the guard rotation again, but probably wasn't too bad with 23 from Delhi, 20 from Clark, and 16 from Illy. There's just too many mouths to feed because you've got Goulding with 12, Flynn Cameron with 10. Flynn Cameron again vying for more minutes, but probably not going to get it because Delhi and Illy and Clark are these big name guards. It's just fucking gross.
It's weird though because Flynn Cameron started this game. He played the 18, 19 minutes. Delhi and Illy both came off the bench. And I know Illy had to run through the middle of this game to have a kid, good on him. But Delhi's working back from injury. It's still messy, this rotation.
Yeah, I hate it. I would go as far to say how we felt about the Sydney Kings. I'm starting to feel about Melbourne United outside of Jack White. Like, Jack White's 60, perfectly fine for a starter. You're just a bit disappointed if you captain him this week. That's where the ire comes from us this week.
Yeah, definitely. And look, he's been really good consistently. He's sort of been that mid-30s to mid-40s or so, probably the last month. But, yeah, look, you live and you learn. He probably wasn't the ideal captain when you had PJC, but you got to roll the dice at some point.
Jack White has the second most Supercoach points in the league at the moment, so don't get too stressed about that.
Sure. He's been good. I've held him since day one, and he's been more than serviceable.
Mate, your Jack jumpers just fell to the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, and
I don't want to do him anymore.
No, I'm. Let's not make this about you. Let's make this about me.
Okay.
Legend24 in the chat. Sobe might actually make 100K after everybody. After I had 100 angry listeners at me about Nathan Sobe, 39 Supercoach points against the defense first Tasmanian Jack Jumpers, top scored in this one with 14 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, just one short of a double-double. I think he got dogged in this one. I think he could have got 50 Supercoach points in this one. Points in steals, still loses points in turnovers because he's still Nathan Sobe, and took care of your Tasmanian Jack Jumpers, mate. How do you feel and why are your butt hurt?
Yeah, look, I think the season's just about over for Tazzy. The alarm bells are ringing. They got all kinds of problems. But look, I'll give you your dues here, man. You can have your
Yeah.
chocolate. Sobey, he was good. Look, the turnovers hurt him, and we'll get to that in the second game. But look, you might have just jagged this. You might be that broken clock that's right twice a day, and he might just make 100 grand.
Mate, I was talking earlier on, and it wasn't just me going for my guy that played for the Bullets that I've watched, that I've enjoyed watching for years. It's before this one, he was averaging 30 Supercoach points without Derek Walton Jr. Derek Walton Jr. is due back next week, so I don't know if he will make 100K now because Derek Walton Jr. was supposed to be due back the week after. But I tell you what, now every time Derek Walton Jr. is not playing, I'm just going to get on the other guard at Southeast Melbourne because he's so ball dominant. Sobey's better when he's got the ball in his hands, at least better Supercoach wise. Whatever
Yeah.
you think about Sobey, he is a scorer. He come away with 9 assists. As long as your blokes like Hurt and Malik Lewis are getting their buckets, he's going to be okay.
Look, the guys around him, Malik Lewis, Glover, they're the ones who've benefited, especially Glover with Derek Walton being out. He had a good weekend. Sobey, you're right. He's so ball dominant, and I just don't know how his game will have to change with Derek Walton coming back into the lineup. We haven't seen him play under this new coach yet, and let's just put it out there. This new coach seems to have him clicking. Matt Hurt, Sobey, everyone seemed to be, a lot better than they were under Mike.
Let's give Sammy his due too. He's obviously been around, stepped up, prepped him. I think they went 2-1 under Sam, and then the new coaches come in. They've been ready. They've obviously taken on his advice. Kept Malik Lewis in that starting lineup. Even Joey Wieskamp is probably playing like whereas we don't love it for Supercoach, is probably in his best role running that second unit rather than Sobey doing it. It's going to get a bit messier once Derek Walton Jr. comes back, but Matt Hurt's a walking bucket, isn't he?
Oh, he's good. He's just so fundamental. You can tell the guy played at Duke. He just scores from all kinds of places. Look, he had the second game. I'm going to jump ahead and just quickly talk about this because he had 19 Supercoach points at quarter time. I think he finished with 19. I thought he was going for 100. This guy was unreal, and we know he can score in bunches, and he rebounds well. But look, he's just a flat out scorer.
At 24 years old, I actually wonder why he hasn't got a little bit of a run in the NBA yet, unless I'm completely missing something. Never really made the NBA. Played for Duke. Played until he was a little bit older. Played in the G League, and then has come over to Australia. I know he got a couple of summer league stints and things like that, but I don't know. Like the guy just seems to be a walking bucket. Seems to be good with his team members. Like if people like Jalen Galloway are getting a run, why isn't Matt Hurt getting a run?
I wonder that with a lot of guys. You look at some of the imports that come over who have NBA experience, and you look at some of our guys that don't, and I just don't know what they're looking for sometimes. Like, look, DJ Hogue had a bit of a stint in the NBA. I'd say Hurt and Hogue are reasonably similar.
Yep.
Is it a timing issue? Is it an athleticism thing? I don't know. But, I mean, you look at Bryce Cotton and you look at guys who've made a career out of the NBA and you think Bryce Cotton's right there as well.
Yeah. I think I do get it with some of these undersized guards, and that's why they strive so well over here. Even going back to what is it, like Machado and Adams and Cotton and all these guys. If you're an undersized guard, your place is in the NBL. I feel get drafted, try and be IT, do what you do, but it's not going to work out. Will Magnay had a good one in this one, despite the score. And look, I don't know if we really want to talk about anyone else, except for how disappointing Milton Doyle owners would have been coming into this one.
Yeah.
They're going to lose a fuck ton of cash this week, and he's going to have a high break even again next week.
And I don't know what the excuses are. I don't think there's any left. He played 33 minutes again. We've said all year his minutes are at an all-time high. He's just not getting anything done. 2 of 13 from the field. He can't buy a bucket. Jordan Crawford's much the same. He was 2 of 15 in this one. Look, they were lucky to keep it this close. And I said last week on the pod, the Silver Dome is so hard to shoot on. And when you've got a team like Tazzy that really tries to get done from the perimeter, you're never going to shoot a good clip.
Mate, the next one, it was the late one. I actually really enjoyed this. I was staying up,
was good.
had to work the next game, but I tell you what, it was just close all. Well, Wildcats would extend their lead, and then Illawarra would hit back, and Will Hickey was absolutely cooking. Ben Henschel had a career high. That man was cooking as well. Again, we had a chat about this being the rise of the cheapies. Lockie Ulbrich scoring 26 Supercoach points. Pepper scoring 25. Even Ty Webster at 199K dropping 19 points. That's well above what he's priced at. This was great for Supercoach, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, I had a lot of guys in this game. It was always a bit more interesting when you got some guys to see what they're doing. I had Doolittle as well. 33 minutes for him. You know, big tick. We know he's going to play minutes. He was a bit down on this one. He only had the 3 rebounds after, almost leading the league all year in rebounding. But he had the 7 assists, which was quite handy to prop up his score slightly. He had 34 in this one. Henschel, he was unreal. The 26 actual points to go with 6 assists. He was good to watch, wasn't he?
This was one of the most complete games, and just I wish they didn't sit him that third quarter, because this could have been 50, could have been absolutely anything. I've never seen him on an NBA board, right? But they were talking all game about how he's going to be the next NBA prospect or whatever. I've never heard that chatter, and I'm not sure I believe in it. I've always considered him as a guy kind of like Lockie Ulbrich. Like Lockie Ulbrich might get drafted, might get we see Luke Travis playing his first minutes a couple games ago. But might get that sort of situation. But realistically, I think what we said about Lockie Ulbrich last year as they were working him into it is maybe he's a long-term guy like Sam Froling. I think Ben Henschel is a long-term guy that could be like a Jesse Wagstaff in many years to come.
Yeah, I think the NBL's real make a home. A Chris Goulding light type. The guy's always on the fringe of almost getting a crack. He's probably got the talent, but there's just nothing that separates him from that next elite guy. But look, he's a 6'5" point guard who's getting it done at the moment. And look, he was one of our cash cow picks at the start of the year. He's finally, and it's probably a lot to do with Bryce Cotton being out, starting to actually make some moves. And he'll go up in cash this week and reward owners nicely. You had Webster here.
Yeah, as an owner of Ty Webster, I'm not super disappointed, because I'm going to enjoy the cash generation of Benny Henschel. But I think the emergence of Ben Henschel is killing Ty Webster. And I also think Ty Webster's coming back from injury, and he just didn't quite look at his very best out there. I'm hoping he's a little bit injured, because I'm going to be looking to hold him through this next 5 weeks.
Yeah. Look, we told people to avoid Dylan Windler. We weren't high. He was coming around that 250K mark. Did you like what you saw in this one?
I liked what I saw in this one, but the great thing about there being a couple of games, I didn't really like him as much. Oh, he didn't even play in the next one, right? He's injured now. He's injured now, but look, it's hard to be excited when you see 30 for the whole week with a 56 break even. I think
that all I could keep my eyes on this one was Will Hickey. That was phenomenal. 20 points. We've been watching him for a couple of weeks now. He really has turned a corner, and I actually think this is a role. Kell's out, but the guy's still balling. So this was an absolute rip snort of this game for us. The next game that we're looking at was New Zealand Adelaide. I didn't actually see this one. but it was a big win for New Zealand. So they are rolling. They won this afternoon. We talked about that, but 109-82, the Breakers took care of the 36ers. Look, PJC in this one, he was a little down, but he still had the 25 points and the 6 assists. But it wasn't the score that we were really thinking would elevate a captain score. I was quite happy because I'd captained White. Menenga popped up in this one nicely, had the 14.6 rebounds. Karim Lopez, the youngest guy to ever record a double-double with 17 points, and he had 10 rebounds in this one as well.
He had 7 in this one. He had 10 in the next one, I think.
I was 10 in the next one.
Yeah, but PJC, did you see what he was on after 12 minutes into this one? He was on 25 points.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I was listening to this one on the radio, where
on the wireless.
We're at an age, Hammer, and I've seen you down at the local park. The local used to be the pub, but now I've seen you down at the local park where you got to go down and you got to go take your kids down there. So I'm listening to PJC and I just
weird if you don't take your kids.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise I'd be at the local pub. But PJC scores. I've got the Supercoach app open. I'm not even seeing where the kid's going. And he's on 25 Supercoach points after 12 minutes. And I'm just hold on. If I can get that 60-70 game in this one, didn't quite eventuate because they just keep blowing people out. He can take his foot off the pedal. I think if we can get PJC in these close ones, he's going to be a captain every week. But the schedule goes away from New Zealand a little bit now. They've got 2 singles into a triple-double again. We talked
about this a little bit last week, though. Is he one of those guys that you can play on the single?
Is he somebody that you can... I think you can hold him. I think you can play him on the bench in a single. So he's still lost money this week. That's the concerning thing. But you could always play Bryce Cotton, and you just said that he was better than Bryce Cotton. I don't think you play him. I think you need to keep abusing the matchups.
Yeah. I think we need to look at who's on the doubles this week and how easily we can bring them in and out. You don't want to be in a position where, you downgrade at guard and you upgrade somewhere else and you're going to have trouble bringing him back in. But I am tempted to try and hold him.
It's Tazzy, Southeast Melbourne, and Melbourne. Where I'll get stuck this week is I don't want Doyle, okay?
No.
I don't want any of the Melbourne guards. I'm wary of Derek Walton Jr. And whereas I'll probably hold Sobey, I don't necessarily want to play Sobey with Derek Walton Jr. Maybe Parker Jackson Cartwright on a single is just going to be enough.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of research between now and the start of the round, but it's something to think about anyway.
Freddie Gillespie had his best game as a breaker in this one. 13-7, 5 blocks, no turnovers. Just a big body out there and starting to look like he fits better. It's hard when an import comes in and he's 277K. He's not on this, I'm presuming he's not on huge import money or anything like that. But yeah, look, he fitted well with the team in this one. He probably fits better than Jonah Bolden, to be completely honest, at the moment.
Well, I think anyone fits better than Jonah Bolden. He's got to be, I reckon, up there as one of the most disappointing players of this season. He has so much potential. He's giving me Ben Simmons vibes.
Ben Simmons has been pretty good.
Talking to Ben Simmons, I know we didn't go through breaking news, but he's flagged some interest in buying an NBL team, and Kesselman's confirmed that they're in negotiations, or at least preliminary talks.
I mean, he's got enough money.
Yeah, from not playing. Plenty of spare time to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'd be good for the league, a big name like Ben Simmons buying in. Montrezl Harrell in this one come in with a negative break even, still dropped 33. He's going to be, 430K this week. That's absolutely huge. Matt Mooney had a good one in this one We didn't even talk about him in the first one because he was that non-existent. He had 5 assists, 17 points. He actually missed his first 6 or 7 shots in this one, looked really ordinary and just come good in the second half. When Parker Jackson Cartwright took his foot off the gas, Matt Mooney stepped up.
He really is a supreme Robin to PJC's Batman. But we saw tonight, Matt Mooney struggled. He had the 6 turnovers. He padded the stats a little bit late. But look, I was upset at you last week for convincing me to go away from Mooney and take Sobey. But look, after this round, I forgive you. It's worked out.
Means a lot, especially coming from you. Matt Menenga in this one, 22 Supercoach points. I was impressed in this one. A lot more impressed in the next one. I mean, like just 51 points from a guy that's sitting there at 150K. Gonna regenerate that cash gen again. Gonna be a guy that you don't have to panic trade out. Might marinate, might make a little bit of K. If he's 180K in a few weeks, we've made money. We've had a week where we've got 26 Supercoach points from your guy off the bench. Yeah. I think that's best case scenario for Sam Menenga.
Yeah, look, I held him this week, and he's rewarded us nicely, especially with the game this afternoon. But look, this afternoon's game, he had 25 actual points, and that's pretty similar to what he scored Supercoach-wise. Is he a 25-point per game scorer? No, he's not. This is the worry. He just doesn't contribute across enough of the other stats.
I think that he's a 15-6 guy, like he was in this game. I think he's always been. I think he's a 20 to 24 point Supercoach score player, and if he can get that, he's going to be what 200, 220K. I think we'll see him top out at 190K because he does go missing. But now that they're stepping Bolden back in minutes because they're working out that's better for the team, that's going to be only good for Sam Menenga. And yeah, Crazy Prey Manus, he did owe us this.
For sure. And I think when he can hit his 3-ball, and how many threes did he hit tonight? He was looking good, and that stroke looks nice for a big fella. But when he's hitting the 3, it just opens up the lanes so much more for everyone else. You have to guard him out there. And then PJC has the lanes, and that mid-range, my God, I think about that often.
Mid-range Mattrix back again. Mate, Cairns Taipans lost to the Brisbane Bullets. And again, we find ourselves talking about Sam Wardenberg and Tyrell Harrison, but they aren't relevant at the moment. They're on strings of singles. Let's talk about these cash cows in Higgins Tisha and Jackson McCoy.
I think off the top here, we owe an apology. There was someone in the chat, I don't remember who it was, on Wednesday night, and we pretty much said you need to delete the app talking about this guy. He's not going to play. And then what did Ford do to us?
Ford things.
He started him. He started the bloke. He played him, God, I don't even know how many minutes. What was it? He played 29 minutes and 36 seconds, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, some blocks. Like, the guy was everywhere. And he chimed in. What do you have in the end? 35 Supercoach points?
Yep.
That was that made us eat our words. He was phenomenal. So the question here is this a flash in the pan, or is he the new starting 3-man for the 8 weeks we're not going to be without Pedro Bradshaw?
Mate, I am not the right person to ask this because when Sam Wardenberg did things like this, I said he was a flash in the pan. I have concerns, though. I have concerns about Taron Armstrong coming back into the lineup and them still needing to play blokes like Rob Edwards, them still needing to play the other import that they're bringing in this week, them still playing Antonio minutes. I think he's been good enough to at least come off the bench and play in the next couple games. But with these string of singles, and you just missed out on, 70K this week? I'm not sure it's worth it now. I wish I had a time machine. I would bring him back in last week, and I would have brought in, I don't know,
not
Doolittle instead of Pinder. I wouldn't have brought in Ty Webster, I would have brought back in, I don't know, Will Hickey or somebody like that. But we live and we learn, but I'm not sure bringing in Higgins Tisha now is going to be worth it.
Yeah, look, it's hard, but at the same time, I just think who is going to take that 3 spot? When you look at the roster, yeah, Taryn's probably back. Yeah, Deshaun Taylor's back, but they're both point guards. Rob Edwards may slide to the 3 if you're going to play the guards. But look, with Bradshaw out, with Galloway probably more of a 4, I think there's such a hole there without Pedro Bradshaw. And we know Pedro is playing bulk minutes. It might not be 30 minutes a game, but I think this guy has a role. And he's going to run with it. Forty was pretty candid in the pre-game. He was talking about the kid, how he's going to make it or break it, or he's going to. I can't remember what his words were. It was pretty brutal, but he's come out and had a game.
I would have been a bit more confident. Like, we're talking, giving him his flowers. He was fantastic. Would have been a bit more confident if they actually won. I feel like we're not giving Brisbane Bullets enough credit, which I touted as a Brisbane Bullets team.
Okay,
that they were going to finish last this year.
Let's be clear. Brisbane didn't win this game. Cairns lost it. Brisbane are abysmal. They are an absolute joke of a franchise right now.
This is coming from a Tazzy fan this year.
Hold on, you mean the reigning champion Jack Jumpers? Look,
yeah, reigning RAINING because they ain't winning shit this year.
Look, when was the last time that the Bullets put anything up in the rafters? Hey, look, Cairns had no business whatsoever being in this game, and they were up by a fair bit for most of this game. This Higgins Titcher, whatever his name is, had some late turnovers. Some of the other guys had some ill-advised shots. They lost it. They could have played a bit smarter and easily won this game.
Look, we talked about Harrison. I'm impressed with Cook without needing to get him in. I think he's just priced what he is. Bateman's been good. Bannon's been good, but now he's probably topping out just before being interesting with going into all these doubles. But you can wipe Casey Prather from your team because he has now started losing cash. It was great at the start of the year, generated a lot of money. He topped out at 230. I thought he'd top out at 280. Disappointing.
So we are getting to this point in the season where Brisbane become very relevant, right? Round 9. We're not too far away from that point. We flagged this from the start of the season. This is the time we wanted to jump on the Bullets. I'm finding it very hard to jump on any of them. Harrison is about the only one I've got half an eye on. Norton, depending on the role, I'm not excited about much. I'm clutching at straws here.
I think as I have a look at the schedule, if there's not Xavier Cooks, if there's not a Parker Jackson Cartwright, and some of those other guys, maybe even a Jalen Adams as he works his way back, I could see myself captaining Harrison later on in the year.
I think I'll own Harrison at some point, but do you think this is going to be a trap that's going to separate some teams and people will look back on the season and think maybe this is where it went wrong? If they've gone in round 9, think this massive string of doubles and they've gone heavy on Brisbane, you think that's a trap?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think people are going to do it. How many small-time NBL fans know who Cook, Bateman, and some of these guys are? You probably only know who Bannon and Harrison are. I mean, Bullets have just been getting shit game times and everything like that. I'm not even sure the casual NBL fan watches Bullets games, and I don't blame them.
No, it's hard to watch. Is Justin Schuller in the hot seat?
I mean, if he loses 5 games in a row, then yes.
Seems to get a lot more grace than some of the other coaches, doesn't he? I don't know, people aren't really calling for his job when they've been horrendous for, at least a season and a half.
But that's because Brisbane are always horrendous.
It takes a long time to go back to some glory days. I remember going out to, this is the last time they played out at the Entertainment Centre, and they had Bobby Brannan, Kevin Freeman. That was a year I think they went on a 20-win streak. They were legit back then.
What was that, 2002?
Or maybe? I think Bubbles just hit puberty.
Yeah, he would have been about 12, so... Mate, look, let's stop talking about Brisbane. It's making me not want to do NBL Supercoach any longer. The Southeast Melbourne Phoenix trumped the Perth Wildcats in the next one, and the other guard stood up, which was Elijah Pepper. So basically, the only guard not to step up this week was Ty Webster, the guy I
Pepper
started.
had a big round. He was very Supercoach relevant. This was a great game for the Phoenix.
Yeah. Sobey, 36 Supercoach points. Matt Hurt, another 27. One of his lowest scores, but like, can you really be disappointed with 27 Supercoach points? Malik Lewis has been as a big barbecuer, had a really good cook up yesterday. Actually, did a little butterflied lamb, red wine and garlic in the Weber at home. Malik Lewis has been marinating on my bench, much like that. Much like that butterflied lamb did for 24 hours before being introduced to my Weber and then getting introduced to my stomach.
I was wondering where you were going with that, but that's quite the segue.
Malik Lewis is still making money, should make it to that 220K. Got another double this week, might hit 200 this week, should keep going. I think he's really doing his job for owners.
Yeah, look, this is an important double for Southeast Melbourne when some of the other teams drop off that double. Look, Sobey, he was good in this one. He scored well. I remember texting you midway through the first or second quarter, and I was like, this guy is a walking turnover. And he had 4 turnovers very early on. They weren't even good turnovers, if there's such a thing. They were just handing it to the other team. But look, he actually put together one of the most complete games I've seen him put together in quite a while. The Flying Toilets boy, Matt Kenyon, got some burn and showed a little something, but Hurt was disappointing to me considering how well he started. 19 of those Supercoach points were in the first quarter.
And, was just stroking it. Was, hitting those turnarounds around Pinder. Who's a lengthy bloke? No, they didn't. Pinder's good on the fast break. We haven't talked about him probably because he's been a little bit of a non-factor. Hit his break even. He's 300K. He just did what Pinder has been doing all year.
Yeah.
And been the king of mediocrity.
Yeah. It's hard to get excited about it. I had him in my team until the very last second I went to Doolittle. Doolittle had 5 turnovers in this one, which he was frustrating to watch. He missed out on the double-double, getting pulled probably 10 minutes earlier than he normally would due to a bit of a blowout. But, you know when you, move away from player, and Pinder for me in this case, and you watch him, and every time he turns it over or stuffs up, you're like, yeah, that was the right choice. I was like that all week with him. I was like that all week with Cook. It was a good move, but could have been better if Doolittle did his thing a bit more.
And when you have Ben Henschel at 120K, the same as Pepper, anytime you see 15 Supercoach points in a game where he was...
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was disappointing. He was just disappointing compared to his first game.
Yeah. And another one that the guys had in this one would have been Almanza. Played for 13 minutes, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. He did a little bit late when he played most of the last quarter, padded the stats, but I think he had 26 for the round. It wasn't great considering you could have bought in Karim Lopez for, not much more.
Yeah, he's not an ad. Definitely stay away despite the schedule. I think I'll still persist with Pinder due to the schedule, considering he's still scoring his break even. Is there a world where you have Pepper and Henschel?
I don't think so anymore. I think, would have been brave and ballsy to do it at the start, but I just don't think you can hold them both. And especially now, how much more cash have they got to generate? Cotton's potentially coming back in a round or two. We'll have to check the injury report Wednesday night, but I don't think so. And I think I'm going with Henschel just because he's getting the starting minutes and because he's got that guard forward flexibility.
Look, let's head into the next game, and I don't want to rub salt into the wound as a Jack Jumpers fan, but Jack Jumpers over the whole weekend scored about as many points as Nathan Sobey did Supercoach points.
Yeah.
But Sydney Kings 88 took care of the Jack Jumpers 60. When
Yeah.
you're playing 80 minutes of basketball and dropping 140 points,
Barely.
you're not
Yeah.
going to have a good week, are you?
No. Look, they're just out of sync. We've said from day one that the McVeigh departure being so late, it really has wrecked that roster. I think Sword would have been a really great fit if McVeigh was there. You didn't need him to play minutes. You didn't need him to score, but they really, really need to pivot early. And I think it's too late now. They could have gone away from Sword and gone to an Antonius Cleveland type and maybe salvage the season. But this was even harder to take when Magnay was the late scratching. Saw a little bit of Gorjak Gak, but they struggled up front. They really don't have an answer when Magnay's off the floor.
Yeah, it's true. They could have picked up Lamar Patterson. I think he's playing for Logan at the moment. So,
They need to
could
do
have picked up.
something.
Mate, at least you'll get a good draft pick next year, so don't stress.
Talking of the number one draft pick of this offseason, Xavier Cooks, he failed to fire again. He had the 10 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Only played the 20 minutes. Look, I think a bit of that was to do with the blowout, but I think also these rotations are getting funky.
Mate, I was pretty. It's crazy to have Xavier Cooks and be okay to see them put the Q in the rack because you'd captain somebody else. It's like hedging your bets.
Yeah.
But as a non-captainer, I was pretty happy seeing PJC score 40 odd in the first game and seeing Xavier Cooks finish on 52 for the week. A bit bittersweet. I'm going to use that Xavier Cooks money to bigger and better things this week, I think. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. Maybe it's a boost week to fix up my bench, generate some cash a little bit further. But I mean, I was going to go Xavier Cooks to Doolittle. Maybe I just do the same thing.
Yeah, look, I think he can get off Cooks now. He's going to lose money. The schedule is not amazing going forward. They've had a really good run in the first half of the season. It's not as packed as other teams. Cam Oliver in this one, though, 12 points, 11 rebounds, another double-double in only 19 minutes. Can we say he's back?
Yeah, I think we can, as long as we see Lepepe not getting minutes. Played some garbage time in this one. He is back. I think it could be good for Supercoach, the fact that he dropped down to 250. But I think by the time he becomes relevant again, he's going to have topped out again. I don't know. I'm just going to be staying away from Cam Oliver until the schedule gets elite, and then we'll have a little bit more clarity. Kelly Lepepe should exit your team this week, though.
Just about the same as any of these Sydney Kings. I know a lot of guys jumped on Tyler Robertson. I think he's run his run. 2 points in this one to go with 4 rebounds and an assist and a turnover in the 16, 17 minutes as a starter. Look, they've got Jalen Adams back. He's off the bench, 25 minutes. He had a pretty ordinary stat line, but he had 4 steals that actually brought his Supercoach score up a little bit. There's nothing I like about Sydney at all anymore. I don't have any, but I'd be getting off.
I actually really like the road out of it. So Ian Johnson is asking, and I just think it's really relevant, Cooks to who as your best replacement? For me, it's probably Doolittle. Despite having one disappointing game this week, I was actually quite happy because I saw the break even of 77, was hoping that he would drop in cash a little bit. Let's just get Doolittle in next week. I'm going to be doing it. I don't care what all of you do, but my best advice is to go. Yeah, just go Cooks to Doolittle. Bank honestly a heap of cash. I think it's 50 or 60K.
Yep.
And then use that to upgrade somebody from your bench.
Yeah, for sure. Doolittle's great buying at a discount this week. I unfortunately got him last week, but you look at his 3-game rolling average, it's not going to be amazing. So that cash is going to drop down. I think the play's there. Unless it's a blowout, he's playing 35 minutes, which is what you want. He's consistently been a double-double threat all year. Look, as far as the schedule goes, there's another 4 doubles in a row. He's a bit of a set and forget.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really impressed me this week. Mate, I think we're going really, really good for time.
Yeah.
I I love that everybody. I'd love to do this every week, but NBL doesn't always finish at the same time, and we have other commitments, and we like to set the same time every week so that everybody can set it aside. But I think it was fantastic that up here in Queensland we had a 6:30 game, basically led until 20 minutes. 15 minutes before the show started, and we can go bang in and chat about all this while it's fresh. So um, I actually absolutely love the way that it's finished this week, and it's probably led to a short transition. But let's answer some of these questions and let all these fine folks get to bed.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Get in any more if you want. We've probably got the next 10 minutes to answer questions. Then we'll move on. We've seen some really big scores right there at the beginning. Not a lot of questions. This is actually quite good. I think the Supercoach app will update in about the next 40 minutes, Logan, asking if it will update. Usually it only takes a couple of hours. I'm excited to see where I finish as well. I think I might see a few green arrows with a 455 sitting at about 700th. And honestly, it's just being in competitive leagues and knowing that I had one of the highest scores. 500, you're going to be in the top 1%. But yeah, that's about where I see everybody landing this week.
Yeah, looks good, man. I think we'll know more when the dust settles and they update the app. But look, I'm keen for the once this week. I haven't wanted to look at the last couple.
A flying toilet has been saying, answer me this, answer me, open it,
Maybe.
check your tags in Discords. And a flying toilet said last week, I'm captaining Sobe this week. Great matchups. The sports guy said, not that guy. Ian Johnson said, only captain Sobe when you're sober, Mattrix. I tell you what, if you captain Sobe this week, you are looking at something very similar to what PJC put out. You would have done a better thing than captain Xavier Cooks, and you would have done a better thing than captain Jack White. Yes, this look on my face, to those audio listeners out there, is smug, but I think you can pick it up in my tone.
Yeah, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Fabian Krislovich with 41 for the week. Fans out there are asking for a comment from Hammer.
Look, this is a throwback to last season where I got stuck with Fab on my bench. I think the 41 this week eclipsed his entire Supercoach score over last season. So, look, too little too late, but still love the guy. Plays hard.
Magnus Sherlock, a great name out there, is asking whether we hold Prather at a break even of 30 with still two singles.
One.
As we head into round 8. No, still an extra single before we head into doubles. I'm going to air with, I think that he'll just start dropping cash. I think we've seen his role as Bateman and Cooks have earned their spot in the team a little bit more. They've just gone away from the devil they know in Casey Prather. When they were struggling, Casey Prather was cooking because when they couldn't find anything gelling, they just give the ball to Prather and just let him do Prather things. Now they're playing a little bit better, even though we've both called him basically dog shit in this podcast. Now that they're starting to gel a bit better, Prather's becoming basically just a spot-up shooter in the corner.
I'm concerned because we've got Dang Adele to come back. I got no idea where he's been. Apparently it's an illness, bubonic plague, something like that. He's been gone for a while, but Bateman's been playing well. Is there a world where he gets inserted back into the starting lineup and we see something a bit more similar to what they rolled out at the start of the year?
Yeah, I think now that they've started to gel, that's the team that they're finishing with. So it would make sense that when they start to come up against better opposition, that you want to start strong with the team that you think is your best team, which that's what they're finishing with. Whether that's what Shul is seeing from the continuation of the game and then just making that decision on the fly. Look, assistants are going to start pointing out that, hey, when you need to win, you're putting these guys out on the floor. Why aren't we starting these guys?
Yeah, it'll be interesting too. Like, look, the other sort of way to think about it with Prather is, he might drop a bit of cash this week. He's probably not hitting 30, but then, look, is he going to level out and you can keep him on your bench getting 20s for the rest of the season? Is that an acceptable bench score?
I think so. Maybe you could be talking me into holding Prather. Like, he's still going to have those 35-point games just because that's the style of player that he was. I just thought that maybe we could get him to 280, 300K by the time that they start heading into doubles, and then he could come this really good hold, this guy that you could play at guard and forward, and he's just not generating into one of those guys. We're talking about him as a bench guy now. Instead of that possible starter that I personally had hoped. I thought that maybe he was a 28 point per game guy, which I'm fine if I get 56 from a 220K starter or a guy that I bought at 150K weeks ago.
And so if you think about him as that 150K guy, and you compare him to other 150K guys, like you're talking, your Menengas, your Lopez's, your Aldrich,
Your
he's
Lewis.
around that mix. Almanza, I think you can justify that.
Mate, what do you think about bringing in somebody like Lopez, which I presume will still have a negative break even this week, in for Cooks? IJ asks.
Yeah, look, Lopez is on a single for the next 2 weeks, so I'm assuming you're not bringing him in to start him, but I'd be more than happy to bring him in and put him on the bench. I think he's going to keep going up. I think the role is there. It's going to be very hard not to play the kid. Might not be as many, and we might not expect 40s and 50s each week, but I think it'd be realistic to expect 20 to 30.
Yeah, absolutely. Xavier Cook's going to be about 405K. Doolittle about 337K. Going gun to gun, I'm very excited to spend that 70K elsewhere and still hopefully be generating that similar sort of production.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait for you to try and recreate my team, Mattrix.
I mean, too little was going to happen. That's cool. Can you not make a trade, or is that a stupid Supercoach play, Rod says? I mean, like, you don't have to, but I feel like quite often when you have bench guys, you could move on to other bench guys, similar sort of money with a better schedule. And that's where, like, I think with, what have we got, 3 or 4 teams on doubles this week. Like, say you've got, I haven't even looked at Tyler Robertson's break even, but say you've got a Tyler Robertson or somebody like that. Now that they go on a string of singles, surely there's somebody on a string of doubles, somebody on a double just this week that has the same role as Tyler Robertson, but is on a double. So yeah, you don't have to make a trade, but I don't think anybody in this fickle schedule is going to be good enough to just have a great week without doing any trades.
No, but this is where you start to look at, you might have made a bit of cash out of Tyler Robertson. Could you then pivot to a Mitch Norton, who's about to go on a run of 9 doubles in a row, coming off the bench as the backup point guard? He dropped 20 actual points, a game or two ago. These are the sort of ones, I'm not saying Norton's the play, but these are the sort of ones you would look for.
But Norton's a better play than Tyler Robertson due to the schedule, not because he's a better Supercoach player. He gets twice the opportunity for 9 weeks in a row. You'd be mad not to play. I would play Norton over Robertson, but if they both had an equal schedule, then I'd be fine with just holding Robertson.
Yeah, getting 2 for 1.
Jack Edmondson's asking, does Webster walk in the door and walk straight out of the team like that Grandpa Simpson meme? What do you think, Hammer?
I think he does. I think you've given him a chance. He's inconsistent, isn't he? He's rocks and diamonds. It looks like Henschel's the guy, I know Ty
And
was
Pepper?
injured last week, but he came off the bench both games. I think really, and can we just talk for a minute on how much of a flog John really is? The way he
Fuck, I hate
berates
that guy.
those refs, I was just feeling awkward.
He makes people from Toowoomba look like good people.
Yeah, that was shocking.
Mate, the guy's a flog, and honestly, I did my ref certificate once upon a time, but if he was in my ear like that, I would just I would be fine. I would give him a tech early as a warning, and then he would toe the line the whole game, and I honestly would just send him.
You know when Justin Tatum got fined the other week and he was talking in the press conference that, some other coaches get given a longer leash. Like, this is exactly what he's talking about. Really, I can't think of any coaches in recent history, and there's been a few bad ones, but I can't think of any that are this blatantly just riding the refs, but nothing cool.
Can I give you my thoughts? That was really, really bad. A Flying Toilet's asking what my thoughts were on the Brazilian GP. Another all-time battle between Lando and McLaren. Honestly, when you have a look at Verstappen starting 17th in the wet, everybody's just sliding left, right, and center. Have you seen a better qualifying than that Formula One qualifying in that one? I tell you what, there was about 4 crashes. There was about 4 stoppages. It went for hours and hours. I love when they do qualifying and then they start the race 4 hours later. Verstappen zigzagging. I tell you what, it only took about 30 laps for him to go 17th until 2nd. And Lando slipped up. And you know what? He dropped. Honestly, I was sitting there watching it, and I know that you guys hate cricket analogies, but he just dropped the World Cup right there when he slipped off. Honestly, man, Lando has dropped it. Piastri being that far down. McLaren had a real crack at this one, and honestly, there might be a better chance of Ferrari topping McLaren after this one. Man.
Oh my God. What an absolute joke of a sport.
Mate, have we covered all the questions? I think we have.
I think that's about it.
Mate, I feel like we talked basketball for 1 hour. If I go on a 2-minute rant about Formula One, you've just got to take it, guys.
Far out, mate. That is no. I've never been so bored in my life in that last 2 minutes, Mattrix.
Mate, there's genuine talk of a Formula One fantasy podcast coming to Insight Fantasy Sports.
Not on this show.
Mate, everybody is ragging me out for finishing on Formula One. But you know what you'll just have to do? You'll just have to come back on Wednesday to have a little bit of a chat about more basketball. Can we finish on that?
Yeah. Can't wait for your apology Wednesday.
Nah, I don't apologize. I'm just not as right as I normally am. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.